Hello YouTube, it's your boy Nathan coming to you to do another recap video. Today we are talking 90 Day The Last Resort Season 2, Episode 17, Peace at Last. And yes, it's definitely peace at last for me. So we're just gonna get on to it. So as y'all realize, I have not covered much of The Last Resort this season. I made a decision to do a few episodes throughout the season because of the cringiness and the BS, and rightfully so and everything. I love 90 Day Fiance. I love all the spinoffs. But this when you have an entire season of the most cringeworthy couples ever, it just becomes a little bit too much. So, and I know The Last Resort is for the cringy couples to work on their relationships and stuff, but man, this season they picked the top notch the top notch cringy couples minus a few other ones. So we're just gonna get onto it. So this episode kicks off with, so the storyline in the last few weeks, we'll start with Gino and Jasmine, is that Gino has not been intimate with Jasmine. So Jasmine came up with the idea of having an open marriage. And, Gino at first didn't want to do it, but now he agreed to the open marriage. Now, Jasmine already has somebody in mind, and that person is this Matt guy that she works out with at the gym. Now, and I'll get to the rumors and the confirmation of the rumors here in a few. So in this episode, Gino video chats with Matt, and he asks him questions like, "Are you single? How long have you and Jasmine known each other? And have y'all ever did anything?" He said, "No, we met at the gym, nothing else, and everything. You guys are married. I don't want to mess with that." And so Gino said, if we do this open marriage thing, we will stop if y'all start having feelings. And then Matt gonna be like, "Well, Gino, I see what you're saying, but Jasmine is really frisky, and she deserves the world. She deserves to be have somebody that's gonna be there for her." And I'm just when he said that, I'm like, dude, I don't need you to tell me about my wife, what my wife likes and stuff and everything, because this is my wife, and who the hell are you? Gino kind of regretted that he didn't say anything, get upset more about it, because I would be too. Now, get into the rumors of this. Jasmine, it's one thing to offer this open marriage and stuff and everything, but Jasmine already has a guy lined up. So and later Rob actually makes a valid point. It's not just an open marriage. She wants to be with Matt, because if she already got him lined up, she there's something going on, and she gets all excited when she talks to Matt and everything. So this is just right out wrong and everything, and this is really gonna backfire. If y'all want to do the open marriage, fine, but find another person and everything. Jasmine refuses to let it be another person. So the fact that she's refusing to be another person, clearly something's going on and stuff. So now, rumors, speculations. Jasmine is pregnant. We all knew that. But she's pregnant with Matt's baby and everything. And next week at the tell-all, she's going to reveal her pregnant body and stuff and everything. And we knew this was going to backfire and everything. And so I hope that she can, I wish her well throughout this pregnancy, but I hope that she still has focus on her other kids that are left in Panama. Hello, let's not forget about them. So yeah. So yeah, that was Gina and Jasmine, and I'll come back to them more in a little bit. This episode is also the recommitment ceremony, because the couples therapy is over. Ari and Benny left last week. Goofy, Natalie, and Josh broke up. Josh finally broke up with Natalie, thank God. But Natalie decided to stay at the resort just to tag along, just because she always needs to be at center of attention and stuff and everything. And Josh left last week. Next couple I want to talk is Brandon and Julia. So their problems have been because Julia did not tell Brandon that she invited, she like started the process to get her parents here. And Brandon was not happy about that. And I'm just like, why wasn't Brandon happy about that? Because Julia moved here from Russia and had to live with Brandon's strict parents and everything. So like, why can't she bring her parents here? Like, that's I said I was Team Julia in that moment. And so, but last week they came to an agreement that Julia will go get a second opinion about the kid thing and everything. But she wants Brandon to. They went on a picnic, and she said, "Brandon, if you cannot figure out a way to get my parents here, don't come to the commitment ceremony." So he had to think about that. So yeah, now with Stacy and Florian. Now Florian, he's too busy up everybody else's relationship and have opinion on everybody else's relationship. It ain't working on his. Stacy's writing her vows. She brought in Darcy a few weeks ago and everything for family therapy and stuff. And Florian is just like, he's very nonchalant about things and just like, too invested in what everybody else is doing. Like, he's really irritated with the Gina and Jasmine situation. And I'll get to more of that in a minute and stuff. And he just needs to like focus on making his wife happy instead of worrying about everybody else's, in my opinion. So now they all go to the bar. It's the last night before the commitment ceremony. They all go to the bar. And, they want to celebrate their last night before the commitment ceremony, and they leave the resort. Gina and Jasmine come in, and Rob immediately calls out Jasmine and said that this is BS with this open marriage thing, and that like the fact that you got a guy lined up is like there's clearly feelings. And he was trying to knock some sense into Gina, and Gina was like, you know what, Rob, you're right. Matt's out the question. We're gonna have to find somebody else and everything. Jasmine gets so upset. I have not been without sex with this. I've been married to this man for almost a year, 9 months. He hasn't touched me. He'll be judgmental and everything. And even Stacy agreed with Rob. She's like, Rob, I actually agree with you. Now you got Sophie. She said she was drunk and just standing there all nonchalant and just drinking. But Stacy said, I agree, Rob. Like this is not healthy. So Jasmine storms out and starts crying and throws a fit and wants to go back to the hotel. And Brandon and Rob and Florian were trying to talk to Gina and stuff and everything. And then Gina and Florian have been bros. They have like a big bromance going on. But Florian called out Gina and said, like, you're embarrassing her, man. Like, like he feels like you just need to be intimate with your wife and then that's it and everything. But Gina is tired of hearing that. Like, Gina, like for a while, I was getting tired of hearing Gina saying, well, we have fights. So, and I get it. But I've been through it before, but they've been getting along and there's like no reason for it. But I just feel like he just lost all kinds of attraction in that way to his wife. So I think there's a deeper problem than just them fighting at this point, because they have been getting along. And then like Florian said something about, did you kick her out on Christmas? And then Gina got mad. He's like, I didn't kick her out on Christmas. You got the story wrong, and called him the B word. And Florian's like, who you calling the B word and everything? So Florian and Gino's getting in each other's faces and everything. Gino's ready to go off. The whole security production crew is trying to hold him back, and he like fighting them off and everything, trying to attack Florian and stuff and everything. Like Rob was trying to calm Florian down. He's like, listen, Flor, like he's going through stuff. Like leave him alone, like and everything. We're not going to understand how he's feeling and everything. And that's the first time I ever seen Gino really get that mad and everything, to the point to where he wants to fight and wants to fight his buddy and everything. So the whole production crew is like holding him back, and he like fighting them off. I ain't gonna take your crap and everything. I'm just like, dang, Gino. So the producers calm him down, and then him and Florian did calm down and talked and shook hands after that. So then, everybody goes back to their rooms and stuff and everything. And, Stacy is writing her vows and everything, Florian saying that he's going to say what's on the heart and everything. And Gina and Jasmine stayed in separate rooms and stuff. And same with Rob and Sophie. Now we have reached the commitment ceremony. And this is where things things got kind of emotional. So, the girls, before the ceremony, the girls came to Stacy's room in all white dresses and everything. Wanted to get all spiffy and stuff and everything and all that. And, the guys dressed up really nice and everything. They were at the place, I call it the altar early, with the therapist and stuff and everything. So the girls come in and they're all white dresses. They all looked very beautiful. And they started with Stacy and Florian. Stacy writes Florian and her vows and everything, saying that, even though there are times I wanted to let you go, I just can't. I want to work through this with you and everything. And, I love you. Florian said that he's sorry for all the wrong that he's done, and he loves Stacy, and Stacy and Florian recommitted themselves to each other. So good for them. Stacy and Florian made it. Next up was Rob and Sophie. So this is where it got kind of emotional. Sophie, they told, and I saw this in between the sheets. Sophie had wrote a letter to her younger self, and she read it to Rob and everything. Now, it was cute until she said, you may not marry the man of your dreams, but it's okay, or whatever, and indicating that Rob is not the man of her dreams and stuff and everything. So she was reading that, and when I heard not the man of your dreams, I'm like, this is over. So Sophie basically did not want to recommit to Rob and everything, and starts crying. Rob was going to write a letter to himself. Rob said that he was actually going to recommit and everything, because the thing is with Rob and Sophie, though they said this in therapy, that whenever they get along when the past is not brought up. They were getting along for a couple of days and stuff because they weren't dealing with past issues or talking about past issues. But Sophie just feels like they're not meant for each other, and that it's just going to be one thing after another and everything. And so Rob got really emotional. He decided to leave. He didn't even stay for the rest of the ceremony, basically. So he goes and packs up his stuff. The producers wanted to hear what he had to say. He said the end of it, and he didn't want to hear or talk about anything else. And that's both of their problems. Rob and Sophie, they run right from their problems, and they just get in that bubble where they just can't break out of. I'm actually glad that they decided not to recommit, because it's just toxic and everything. And during Between the Sheets, Rob had mentioned they did have a conversation about it, and he said that Sophie said, well, you broke up with me at the end of Happily Ever After and stuff and everything. So just hearing that just proved how immature Sophie is. Sophie is very immature, and Rob has some problems that he needs to work out too. So they're not meant for each other. It's that plain and simple. So they both of them walk off. The next couple they brought up was Brandon and Julia. Julia had brought the rocks. Remember when they went to go throw rocks in the beginning of the season or whatever? And Julia recommitted. She's like, I'll recommit if you agreed to help me bring my parents here. Brandon said that he will help bring the parents here. If I was too thinking about the process and then instead of the actual meaning behind it and everything. So they threw their rocks, and Brandon and Julia recommitted themselves to each other, and they're doing well. So congrats, Brandon and Julia. Then it was Gino and Jasmine. They recommitted themselves to each other. Jasmine said, I'll recommit if you promise with the open marriage that it be met. And, Gino was hesitant, but he said, fine. And so Gino and Jasmine recommitted. So after they all recommitted, they throw a huge party and, celebrate and everything, whatever. Now we're going to preview the tell-all. as I said earlier, Jasmine's pregnant and it ain't with Gino. And Rob is gonna call out Jasmine at the tell and be like, "See, this is I was right. Like like I was right. This was a plan for her to get with Matt and everything." And Jasmine's like, "Are you like? Do I have to explain myself to you?" And Rob was like, "No, you don't have to explain yourself to me." Mocking her and stuff and everything. And Jasmine called him a clown, and Rob called her a whore. And then Jasmine gets up and throws a shoe at him. So I can't wait to see how that full conversation and that full fight happens next week at the tell-all and stuff and everything. There's still some lingering issues with Brandon and Julia. They're gonna bring up Julia like cheating on Brandon when she was in Russia, like when they were in their visa process or whatever. Goofy, Natalie, and Josh. I guess Josh is dating another cast member. I have a slight suspicion. I heard rumors that it might be with Chantel. So we'll see. We'll see if that's true or not. Rob and Sophie, they're gonna have their typical Rob and Sophie drama, screenshots and whatever and everything. Ari and Benny will be at the tell-all. Like Ari's still trying to see if like Benny cheated and stuff and everything. And you know, Stacy and Florian's mad because Benny's gonna be dancing with Stacy and everything. So just a bunch of fool-la-la and everything. So yeah. This is why I didn't really want to do The Last Resort, but this episode was just too good. But my whole thing with the Gina and Jasmine situation is it's not like I don't agree with the open marriage thing. And that just proves that, like, I understand Jasmine doesn't want to be in a sexist marriage, but this is just not the way to go. And now look what happened. So I do feel bad for Gina in this situation. Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad the season's over. I can't wait for the tell-all, and I don't know what spinoff is coming next on the Mondays. Like I'm gonna think it'll either be Single Life or Love in Paradise. We haven't got the trailers out yet. I do know 90 Day Diaries is coming back, so we'll see how everybody's doing on Diaries and stuff. But yeah. Anyway, guys, that is the end of my review. Yeah. That's the end of the season for the 90 Day The Last Resort. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I'll be back on, like I said, I'll probably do the Married at First Sight Where Are They Now. I may or may not. Like, don't count on it. If I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. So, if not, if I don't, I'll see y'all next week when I come back and do 90 Day Fiance. So, again, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see y'all again soon. Bye, y'all.